Order number 2, motion, removal of Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGH MP, from the office of the Deputy Speaker of the Senate.
Senator Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under Article 106, Sub-Article 2C of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and also the Senate of Kenya Standing Order 69, Sub-Article 1B2, this is a special motion for the removal of the Deputy Speaker, Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House, Senate, resolves that Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki be removed from the office of the Deputy Speaker of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true when you look at the standing orders as you have correctly ruled, you do not have to give any reasons for this kind of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have not even...
Senator Murkomen, why don't you give him an opportunity just so that we make progress? Let him move so that we, Speaker, like I mentioned, we don't have many interruptions.
Mr. Speaker, we've just said we will abide by our standing orders. So a point of order will be raised at any point. But this one has nothing to do with the Senator of Murang'a. Mr. Speaker, this has everything to do with the mic that was used by Senator Cheriot. It's been reported widely that all that he was saying did not go to any record and the public would not follow. So for the sake of those who will come and make the same presentations there, I think that should be dealt with, Mr. Speaker, because many people are saying when Cheriot was raising his point of orders, it was muted. It was only heard in this House, not to the public.
Okay, it's noted. Proceed, Senator. Those taking care of the mics, please.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, as you have correctly ruled, I did not have to give any reason as to why I brought this motion.
Proceed with the, you have already addressed that. Proceed with the motion.
Yes, allow me to give explanation, Mr. Speaker, sir. The motion is already moved, so I'm now canvassing it, right? So, Mr. Speaker, the motion is already moved. I'm now canvassing the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, notwithstanding that ruling, I hereby give the reason as to why Jubilee Party gave me these instructions. And I'm doing this just for the benefit of my brother, Senator Professor, and also for the benefit of the public who are watching us. And the reasons are, number one, there was a meeting that was scheduled on 11th of May 2020 at State House. It happened. That meeting was by the Jubilee Party. We sent a notice as Jubilee Party to various senators who belong to our coalition, and the professor did not attend that meeting. Mr. Speaker, sir, we sent notices via SMS, and we used the last known phone mobile contact of Professor. In the event Professor did not receive that message, he ought to have updated his record with the party. But otherwise, we used the mobile that was in the party's records. After failing to attend that meeting, there was no apology that was rendered to our party. And we do have minutes, which were signed by myself and His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, the party leader of Jubilee Coalition. Mr. Speaker, sir, we serve in these positions, having been given this position by parties, and therefore, when parties lose confidence in you, they have every right to withdraw that support. Remember, Mr. Speaker, sir, when Jubilee Party supported Professor in that position, there was no reasons that were given at all. There was no framing of charges. So in the same manner, when the parties feel they don't have confidence in the Deputy Speaker, we should also be allowed to do the same. Mr. Speaker, sir, one may argue Professor did not receive a message for that parliamentary meeting. That is possible. But under Section 29 of the Evidence Act, there is a concept called judicial notice. It also applies in parliamentary practice. When a matter is so well known, so well publicized, the issue of notice, it goes without saying, is out there. This is a matter that was highly publicized by the media, and therefore it is a fact that everyone knew there was a meeting on Monday, on 11th May 2020. For whatever reason, Professor failed to attend that meeting, and therefore the party lost confidence in him. Mr. Speaker, sir, importance of parliamentary group meetings in this country cannot be belabored. Reason being, Mr. Speaker, sir, parliamentary groups have effect of constituting governments or even toppling governments, Mr. Speaker, sir. Whereas I agree Kenya is a presidential system, is not a parliamentary system like the UK and Canada and other Commonwealth jurisdictions, we often draw lessons from Commonwealth countries. Mr. Speaker, sir, I bring to your attention to South Africa, where a parliamentary group meeting recalled President Thabo Mbeki. Mr. Speaker, sir, Theresa May was kicked out of government by a parliamentary group meeting. Mr. Speaker, sir, President Trump, who is a president of a country within a presidential system, was saved in an impeachment entity, in a military process, by a parliamentary group meeting. So therefore, when parliamentarians are meeting as political parties, what we have there is what we call sovereignty. Look at Article 1 of the Constitution. It says people can exercise sovereignty, they themselves or through their elected representative. And therefore, the meeting that was at State House was so crucial to this party. And when Professor failed to attend, the party was not happy. Mr. Speaker, sir, another reason why the party has felt it does not have confidence with Professor is the events that happened on 26 February 2020 in this House. What happened, Mr. Speaker, sir? On that day, a motion was brought by the then Majority Leader, Kipchumba Murkomen. That motion was what we call an adjournment motion. It was discussing the transfer of functions from Nairobi City County to national government. Then, after the debate, a ruling was rendered by Professor. The effect of that ruling was that this Senate, some certain committee should proceed to investigate that matter. The problem with that ruling, Mr. Speaker, sir, were three. Number one, under the standing orders of this House, adjournment motions do not crystallize into resolutions. Secondly, under these standing orders of this House, that what we call debate ideally should be about ventilations. So, in fact, the minority leader the following day raised a point of order, and the substantive speaker vacated that ruling. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reason why the president has been in the top front pushing for certain factions to go to the national government for Nairobi, he wants to ensure his manifesto is implemented in this country. He wants.
What's your point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the majority whip, beyond trying to go around issues, has made it clear that indeed, which is what we all believe in, that, Mr. Speaker, if there was no reason for your appointment, there should be no reason for your disappointment. But now we can see him going around in circles trying to look for reasons as to why this removal is being done. Mr. Speaker, would it be in order for me to urge him just to summarize and move and it to be seconded and we get done with this? Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, the danger is that he will start getting into rulings of the Speaker and start going into issues that actually have no bearing as to why this move is being made. And the more he goes into those reasons, many people who have different reasons for supporting or not supporting this motion, Mr. Speaker, will definitely hold a different view. So to save time, because it's coronavirus season, this is not about Nairobi, this is not about anything Speaker Kindiki has done on his chair. The same way we appointed Speaker Kindiki without reason is the same way he can be removed or not removed without reason. So kindly, Majority Whip, summarize and let it be seconded.
Yeah, I think you've been guided. Don't get into dangerous.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I stand guided.
Okay. What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to.
Mr. Speaker, the chief accuser of the his former teacher, Professor Kindiki, is his student, the Senator of Irungu Kangáta. Mr. Speaker, I actually kind of like what Kangáta is doing. Because, Mr. Speaker, the country has been waiting with bated breath to know what is this big mistake the son of the Ameru has done. And, Mr. Speaker, it will be wrong, Mr. Speaker, for us to rush. I don't agree with Senator Sakaja that we must rush, Mr. Speaker, and just vote, because perhaps, Mr. Speaker, we are haunted by our conscience and the shame that comes with the things we are about to do. Mr. Speaker, allow the mover. I am of the opinion that, Mr. Speaker, allow the mover to parade his, Mr. Speaker, evidence before the public, because even though we are in these chambers, the Senate itself is a trial. So let the people know, Mr. Speaker, when later senior counsels in this House who are 3, and people who call themselves the fighters of democracy, when they finally vote, Senator Murkomen, let Kenyans know they are voting because
Senator Murkomen,
a senator failed to attend their meeting, Mr. Speaker, that has not been substantiated.
Senator Murkomen, you know, you are making provocative statements, and when they respond, you say you are being abused. Please, let us respect each other. When you say those who call themselves the so-called, let us avoid that kind of...
I did not, Mr. Speaker. I am very careful. I had your communication, Mr. Speaker. I am very careful not to mention any person's name, Mr. Speaker.
Just order, Senator. Order, Senator Orengo. Just a minute. I also want to assure you that I also went to school, and properly. So I can also be able to...
I have heard, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, except that I'm still waiting for your ruling over the last 1 week, Mr. Speaker, despite the assurance you have given me in the chambers.
Senator Orengo, what's your point of view?
Mr. Speaker, let us have an orderly debate. It would appear that the Senate is going to confine to the contribution of one senator. And if you look at the time we have taken and assign who has spoken, if we go that route, then even we will not be able to deal with the substance. I appeal with you, Mr. Speaker, that let other senators have a chance. If there's a point of order, let somebody cite the particular point of order so that it is specific. But I think we are raising points which are not necessarily points of order.
Senator Kajuang.
Mr. Speaker, would it be in order to rule both Senator Sakaja and Senator Murkomen out of order? Because the mover of the motion, it is upon him to define how convincing it can be, because what he's doing is to convince us as members of the Senate to agree or disagree with his motion. So a call for him to truncate or a call for him to elongate is completely out of order. It is for Senator Irungu Kangáta to determine the most convincing tone and approach. Mr. Speaker, I beg.
Senator, order, Senator Sakaja. Senator Kangáta, proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm about to conclude. I'll just say 2 things, Mr. Speaker, sir. Number 1, we hold several positions in this Senate pursuant to confidence of the party. And my party leader, the party that I belong, Jubilee Coalition, wants the best for this country. I'm not bringing this motion because I have a personal issue with my brother, Professor. No, I do not have any personal issue with Professor. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, when I got these instructions from the party to withdraw the confidence from Professor, I sent emissaries to him. I told him, is there a way you can try to talk with the party to restore confidence to it? Mr. Speaker, sir, after those emissaries got back to me, we got an engagement with Professor. And we talked with Professor for fairly almost 1 hour. I told him, Mr. Professor, you're my teacher. It is not, I'm not bringing this motion as Kangáta, no. I'm bringing this motion as a majority whip. If there's a way you can talk out this issue with the party, I have no problem. Mr. Speaker, sir, Professor told me he would want a written document from the party. But to me, that's neither here or there. When the party was appointing him to that or supporting him for that position, it did not give him a letter. Jubilee did not frame any reason as to why they gave him that position. It was an issue on confidence. I will end with these words. President Uhuru Kenyatta,
The Speaker, point of order.
allow me to finish.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Murkomen. Order, Senator Murkomen.
If he concludes, Mr. Speaker, I will not, if he concludes,
Order. I'll give you an opportunity. Let
but if
us.
he concludes, Mr. Speaker, it will not be a point of order.
No, let
It will be a point of order.
He is not
Mr. Speaker,
Okay,
please.
okay, what's your point of order, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kangáta to, Mr. Speaker, several times refer to a decision of the party to remove Senator Kindiki? In fact, several times saying that the party has lost confidence, the party has decided. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kangáta to make allegations that Mr. Speaker he cannot substantiate? Because most of us who are members of the party here are not aware of any party meeting, whether it's a National Executive Committee,
order,
whether it's
Senator.
PG,
Order,
that made
Senator.
a decision.
Don't
Mr.
drag.
Speaker, but
yes,
that's a very fundamental point of order, Mr. Speaker, because
order,
the
Senator.
public is watching.
I know. Please, don't drag the speaker into party issues.
But the party issues are the basis of the decision that is being made on the floor of the House.
Okay, but don't drag me into those issues, Senator Murkomen. Let him conclude. Conclude. Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Speaker, I've asked for the Kangáta to substantiate, not you, the Speaker.
yeah, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, what's your point of information, Senator Sakaja? Then Senator Irungu.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that Senator Kangáta is allowed to be informed and that even accepted my plea for truncation. Mr. Speaker, the first thing I'd like to inform the House and Senator Kangáta is that when he says that the party lacks confidence, the party in this House is represented by senators who are in Jubilee Party. Raphael Tuju is not voting in this House or anybody else out there. So when he says party, he is rightly in order to say that the members here actually don't have that confidence. Mr. Speaker, secondly, because you said that this is the first removal of a deputy speaker and there is no precedent. Mr. Speaker, we have comparative jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 17th April 2019, Crispin Blunt in the House of Commons had a motion to remove my friend, the former Speaker of the House of Commons, Bekro. Mr. Speaker, that motion had no reason. He just said impartiality and did not even go into depth. And that's why I'm telling Senator Kangáta, the more you talk, the more you're giving more comment things to talk about. Let us finish and go ahead with it, Mr. Speaker. That precedent is there. We follow the Commonwealth tradition, Mr. Speaker, and that really must be how we move along with this. So the party is represented in this House by 39 senators in Jubilee, and the minority party is represented by a number of senators. So we're not talking about party elsewhere, Mr. Speaker. So I hold and I still urge Senator Kangáta, please.
Senator Irungu, what's your point?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform Senator Kangáta that in as much as you are being harangued that there was no party meeting, it is in the public knowledge that the distinguished senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, with others, filed a case in the High Court challenging the Jubilee Party and KANU as to whether or not there was a party meeting. And there were responses to that case, but subsequently they have withdrawn that case, which means that what they placed before the court had no standing. Secondly, there was another case that was taken to the tribunal by the Honorable Senator from Nakuru, challenging the party Jubilee. That case, born of the same facts, was thrown away by the tribunal on the basis that what they presented before the court had no standing. And finally, Mr. Speaker, now that Senator Sakaja has given information to Senator Sakaja in relation to motions of this nature, I myself have moved a motion of no confidence on the Republic of Kenya, on the government of the Republic of Kenya. Senator Kangáta's motion is even longer. Mine was just one line, that the House resolves that it has no confidence in the government of the Republic of Kenya. It was the only ever motion moved, and it was as brief as that. Secondly, I moved a motion against Speaker Kaparo, on the basis of standing orders which have not changed much. And again, they are not required to give reasons, and the motion met the requirements of the standing orders. So I wish to inform Senator Kangáta.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he has referred to me, and it's important. Mr. Speaker,
I thought it was information to Kangáta.
No, but there is a point of order, Mr. Speaker, on the question of the cases that refer to me, because if it goes to the record of the House, it's not a true record. Mr. Speaker, the decision of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal made it abundantly clear, Mr. Speaker, that the coalition agreement between KANU and Jubilee is null and void. That decision was served on you, Mr. Speaker, and you informed the House that you will give a detailed ruling why you allowed changes in leadership in this House despite that ruling. So, Mr. Speaker, that is totally misleading.
Senator Ochilo.
Thank you. I would like to inform Senator Kangáta that the standing orders that talk about removal of the Deputy Speaker is a carryover of the past order. And the past order, we used to call it motion of no confidence. Actually, the reason you have stated that Jubilee Party is withdrawing its confidence on Professor Kindiki is the reason. You need to enjoy political confidence to be able to preside over a house of this kind, to be able to represent or to be a delegate of a party of the magnitude of Jubilee. So the main reason is, does Jubilee, for whatever reason, have confidence in the person against whom they are withdrawing that confidence? And I think that is sufficient. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kangáta, conclude.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I conclude with these words, that parties are very central to Kenyan democracy. Article 4, sub-article 2 of the Constitution says that Kenya is a multi-party democracy, and therefore, I myself as a chief whip, we must be allowed to give confidence and to withdraw confidence to those who don't follow the party lines. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, President Uhuru, as our party leader, has a certain manifesto, which every person who is in this seat and getting a certain position ought to follow. And I'm here to support that cause together with my party leader, party majority leader, Pogisio. And I urge those of us who belong to Jubilee Coalition, please, toe the party line, ensure President Uhuru Kenyatta achieves his vision. And we must ensure, as the political vehicle in this House, we support his agenda and his legacy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move.
Who is the second?
My second